Hidden camera captures horrific murder. On the evening of June 18, 2018, the Boulder Police Department got a desperate phone from a little kid named Michael Jones, who was 11 years old. The lifeless body of his mother, Deborah DePinto, was found on the floor of the laundry room, and he remembered hearing a man, who was later identified as Scott Jones, yelling for assistance in the background. Deputy Mike Perry was sent to the location, and the film from his body camera captured the events as they transpired within the scene. Deputy Perry discovered Scott Jones kneeling next to Deborah's body when he arrived at the mobile home park in Ponderosa. Concerned about the health of his wife, Scott asked for assistance and expressed his worry. Additionally present in the room was their son, who was 11 years old. While waiting for the arrival of the paramedics, Deputy Perry immediately began performing cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR. In the course of questioning Scott about what had taken place, the paramedics observed that he was acting in a peculiar manner, and his conduct appeared to be unpredictable. Scott asserted that Deborah had indicated that she was experiencing extreme heat and that she was having difficulty breathing prior to her collapse. As he alternated between expressing worry for her and outlining her troubles with drug usage and weight concerns, he claimed that her collapse could have been caused by potential variables such as her weight or other medical conditions. Despite his odd remarks, it was clear that Scott was experiencing a great deal of worry and concern for his wife during the entire incident. The tableau portrayed a heartbreaking picture of a family in trouble, with Deborah's life hanging in the balance as emergency responders attempted to save her. These individuals were attempting to save her life. In circumstances in which a parent has just died away, it is usual for the parent who is still alive to offer their child or children some form of solace. On the other hand, despite the fact that his son was there in the room, Scott appeared to be rather detached or uninterested in his children in this particular instance. After being questioned by law enforcement personnel about the whereabouts of his daughter, Scott merely responded, "I do not know." It was not long before Deborah DePinto was hurriedly placed into an ambulance and sent to the emergency facility in Boulder. Unfortunately, she did not survive her injuries and passed away shortly after arriving at the Boulder Health Foothills Community Hospital. At this point, there was no obvious evidence of what had taken place since the previous point. In accordance with the established protocol, Detective Don Dillard of the Boulder County Sheriff's Office was in charge of the investigation and conducted the interview with Scott. Throughout the course of his recounting of the events that took place in the laundry room, Scott continued to describe Deborah's struggle to breathe before she passed out. In spite of the fact that he and Deborah were no longer together, he underlined that they had been co-parenting in a cordial manner. On multiple occasions, Scott reaffirmed his affection for his wife and denied any role in the occurrence of her passing. Even after hours of questioning, the investigators were unable to get any information that could be used against the suspect. Scott made a request for permission to go home, expressing his desire to be with his children despite his exhaustion. However, it was only a few moments after Scott exited the interrogation room that the sheriff's office received a call that caused a change in the path that the inquiry would take. In response to a call from the management of the Ponderosa Mobile Home Park, Deputy Mike Perry was informed that surveillance film had been found on one of the cameras. Through the use of Google Drive, the manager promptly distributed the film to the detective team, which resulted in the opening of fresh lines of inquiry. An account on Google Drive was created and the movie was downloaded. It lasts for 1 hour, but if you require a longer time, please let me know. Just now, I felt a cold run up my spine. It was difficult for me to watch the video. The footage in question was captured from a covert camera that was installed inside the laundry shed by the park manager in order to catch burglars doing their work. The investigators made the decision to play this recording for Scott, and they prepared a computer specifically for this purpose. At around 6:50 p.m., the video begins with Deborah's daughter making her way to the car, while Scott and Deb are making their way from the trailer to the laundry room that is used by both of them. It is apparent that they are already in the midst of a furious debate over something. The audio recording was able to capture fragments of their argument, during which both parties expressed dissatisfaction and rage. This confrontation appears to escalate, possibly going physical, and it lasts for almost 90 seconds before coming to an end at approximately 7 o'clock in the evening. The audio does not continue after that. The sound of a dryer can be heard in the background of the video as it continues to play. The fact that Scott was breathing heavily gives the impression that he was pacing around the room. The fact that he did not appear to be aware of the presence of the covert camera is demonstrated by his reaction to that footage. The video unequivocally links Scott to the sequence of events that took place in the laundry room, which raises significant concerns over his possible role in Deborah's passing, despite the fact that he has denied any involvement. The data that was acquired from the film raises substantial doubts regarding Scott's role in the events that led up to Deborah's passing. The timestamp on the footage reveals that Scott remained in the laundry room with Deborah's body for over 47 minutes before he was seen again on camera. This is despite the fact that he initially denied the allegations. The actions he took and the reasons behind them are still unknown at this time. It is exceedingly unusual for a dad to make the decision to bring his son, Michael, to the laundry room in order to view the body of his mother that Scott made in this particular circumstance. It gives the impression that he may have been attempting to manipulate the situation in order to get more credence for his story. In addition, the manner in which Scott conducted himself during the 911 call, in which he instructed Michael to make a description of Deborah's condition, makes additional suspicions. The terror that his daughter had after receiving a text message from Michael, which implied that her mother had passed away, adds another degree of stress to the situation. Scott continues to insist that he did not commit any misconduct during the questioning, despite the growing body of evidence. Scott's mood, on the other hand, shifts once the investigators approach him with the video proof. He begins to express regret and argues that the altercation with Deborah was a result of her nasty behavior, maybe laying the framework for an insanity defense. He also suggests that the altercation was her fault. Taking everything into consideration, the evidence points to a complicated and strained relationship between Scott and Deborah. Scott's actions point to the possibility of manipulation and attempts to avoid responsibility for Deborah's death. The assertion that Scott is temporarily insane is a popular defense strategy that is utilized by individuals who are facing charges of murder or other crimes of a similar nature. It is Scott's intention to justify his acts and to seek sympathy from the court by portraying himself as a victim of circumstances or of provocation. However, as evidenced by situations such as the one involving Chris Watts, such assertions frequently fail when subjected to scrutiny. In the beginning, Watts attempted to establish that his wife was responsible for the deaths of their children. However, he eventually admitted that he was the one who committed the murders because he wanted to begin a new relationship. In a similar vein, Scott's effort to blame Deborah's alleged abusive behavior for his acts is contradicted by evidence that suggests premeditation and deliberate action on his part. During Scott's trial, the testimony of friends and acquaintances, in conjunction with the forensic evidence that was given, provided a damning picture of his character and objectives. His claim of temporary insanity is further undermined by statements that indicate that Scott made threats against Deborah and that he was willing to have her taken out by acquaintances who owed him favors. The consideration of the likelihood that Scott had been suffocated provided more support for the contention that Scott's actions were premeditated and calculated. At the end of the day, the verdict that the jury reached mirrored the overwhelming evidence that was against Scott. The severity of his crimes and the repercussions of his acts are shown by the fact that he was finally found guilty of murder in the first degree, as well as additional accusations of child abuse. Although Scott made an effort to shift responsibility onto Deborah, justice ultimately won, and he was held responsible for the actions he had just committed. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.